Be sure to subscribe and like our channel.
Welcome to our Christmas annual drunken show. Andrieh will be joining us shortly in a few minutes. However, with that said, my name is Zachary, and this is the Queen City Curio and Videocast, or Deeper Down the Rabbit Hole. So, with that said, we're going to go through a few announcements, and then we'll just progress until Andrieh joins us in a few minutes, because he is prepping up the dinners. So, first things first, we have a few different things popping up for the events for the Queen City Curio and Apothecary. The first one is that we do have some luck rituals coming through. So this is your change your luck attunements. We'll be working with the lucky Buddha, colloquially called the fat Buddha, or that smiling Buddha or laughing Buddha. So this particular Buddha is all about luck and bringing it in through different means. So there's 6 different types of luck connected to this particular Buddha. And he is worked with, at least in a folk tradition, not so much in the traditional Buddhist context, but he is viewed as more of a folk Buddhist saint that everyone can connect to. So he's connected to things such as just general luck, fertility and children and kids, monetary luck in terms of just having wealth represented by the ingots of gold he carries with him. He also has a big sack of infinite jolliness that could be anything. So that's very similar to Santa Claus, which we'll be talking about in this episode, especially since it's Christmas coming up. So with that, Buddha, he is typically bald. He is jolly. He has a big belly. If these things sound similar, well, that's a great kickoff to the new year, we thought. So we're going to be running this change your luck attunement, and there's going to be 6 different pieces or 6 different types of luck that we'll be doing once a week with that for people who are participating with that particular ritual. We also have a few other things happening, such as the Tarot Magic series that Andrieh is working through. So with the Tarot Magic series, right now we'll be working through understanding the Greater Arcana. That's our next one with Andrieh. And then after that, we're going to be talking about practical enchantments and then divinations. So those are the upcoming tarot series. And then after that, we're going to have another series coming up. And we have one secretly planned. However, that won't be till July for that particular secret series that Andrieh and I have been cultivating and correlating with. We do have some special guests for that, though. So that's what we have on the docket for at least our sponsors and for rituals. And then we also have our Fox Magic workshop. This is Messengers of Primordial Taoism workshop. So foxes in Chinese culture are the in-between spirits. They are liminal. If you need something done, this is a great introduction for Taoism. So that's $150 plus taxes. That's a full day workshop. And we'll be doing a fox ritual also for participants in that one. So foxes, they are known for things such as seduction, social influence. They can also be used to change your luck because there's different types of foxes. So if anyone knows Naruto, the manga series, this is very much where we have some heavier foxes that are more darker in nature, and then we have some more lighter ones. We'll be talking about both, but particularly the lighter ones, at least initially. And that is an introduction where foxes are used in Chinese traditions to kind of get around the celestial bureaucracy. And with that, the celestial bureaucracy, at least in Taoism, is not viewed favorably. And with our one comment, happy holidays, prosperous new year to you too. Yeah. So this is very much where we're going to be working for our primordial point with Taoism for that workshop. And we're going to start at the point that, well, you may not be able to even have a conversation with those government officials. But what came before the government? Well, nature came before the government. So this is very much where we will be having those discussions, talking about how you can connect with foxes, how you can work with your own foxes, because everyone has different foxes that they can connect to. And then we'll be hitting up a ritual with that toward the end as a capstone. So that's on January 28th, and it's an all day. We'll also be having other classes coming into that Andrieh and I are formulating. So That's on our event calendar. And now let's get into the topic. So this is the annual drunk show. So this is very much where I've already got my drink on. And typically this is a tradition we've ran for at least counting, I think it's about 5 years now. And we're usually breaking down different pieces within the traditions of Christmas. First, it's foremost a pagan holiday, first and foremost, and then Christianity then went into it. So, what am I drinking today? I have myself some orange juice and some maple whiskey, particularly. It was a hard debate between the rum and the maple whiskey. I decided the maple whiskey on this. I know I was talking to some of my American friends, and they were saying, yeah, that's such a Canadian thing you got going there with maple whiskey." But it tastes good. I like sweet things, so we have that. So this is very much where we are going to be discussing various things in this show. One, we're going to be talking about the social pieces of like what does it even mean for Christmas? Why is there a cultural breakdown on things? Like, is this just commercialization these days? Or what is those core values, especially in the greater occult community? That's something that we do have some questions on once Andrieh pops on. And at least for me, it's very much looking at things and those mechanisms of saying, well, let's reflect on the year. This is the time where at least, oh, we have to do more Chinesey. It's very much like we're going into a new year too. Like it is winter. This is when the light starts to shine, and we're going through those dark patches, and we're going to be going into the astrological side of a water rabbit year coming up. So in Chinese culture, that means there's going to be a lot of moving, a lot of hopping, a lot of flowing. So this is where we can look at that and say, well, how does that adapt to you personally? How does that adapt to the upcoming Christmas time? Where is it? Are we dancing? Are we celebrating these days? Or are we more stuck? And are we frozen? I think this is where why we would want to look at this from a more greater level, meta level, we could even say, and saying like, what are those practices that you've been doing, particularly to kind of spark the joy back in on these dark times? Because it doesn't matter where you come from, everyone's feeling it because it's winter. So one of the practices I've been doing personally, it's really looking and reflecting on like doing a lot more candle magic, right? Getting that flame stoked and like connecting to that inner fire. And this is where, despite the darkness around us, we can connect and we can go further and inflame ourselves to be a light, whether it be in our lives personally, in a work context, or whatever it is. So it could just be a simple thing that you just take out a candle and you connect with it. And you start going at that point and start rebuilding yourself, because nothing's worse than being too cold and too frozen to even move forward. And that is empowering. I know it's not a popular notion that we should empower ourselves during Christmas time, but it is about what? You can't work with a community unless you work with yourself. Now, at least that's my take. So, how can you be in a better place to start helping other people? And this is where you have to take care of yourself first. So, with the community, we have had a lot of things happen this year, quite a bit. And with that, we need to look at what's actually happening in our story, in our narratives, to see, well, is this something that we want to be almost taking a privileged take on? And the answer is probably not. It's like we're all in the same boat. And with that, this is where by illuminating your own light with just a candle, through you actually alchemizing the pain, the sadness, the darkness, you can move forward into being probably an example for other people. So this very much has a lot of different pieces that we can look at. And Andrieh's popping on. So I'm going to bring him on the show and we'll continue this conversation. Perfect timing.
You got to change my name though.
Yes, I do. I do not want to double myself. So
I would be a horrible doppelganger for you.
yes, you would. So the summary pieces is I was just getting into about my personal
Well, here we
life
go.
around candle magic being the light and how that revolves around the community and how you can't work with community unless you're alchemizing your own pain and sadness and darkness. So that's where I was
So
going.
clearly, I'm showing off my alcohol while we're sitting here. Actually, this was a gift, so I'll try it
This
out.
was also a gift.
So there's a secret person that's name who starts with V. Thank you for your sponsorship of the Drunk Christmas Show.
Hell yeah.
Although I'm not really drunk because I was driving today, like getting food.
Safety first.
Making AT fake. Right. I mean,
I do love holding the stereotypical cup right now.
good. Good. I mean, we'll probably have what, 0 people watching?
People.
Well, thank you for watching. Like, there's a lot of people who are actually interested in where this is going to go, and it's a little lighter once before I got here, but now I'm going to pour myself some whiskey over ice.
Yeah, I was kicking back some orange juice with it. It's pretty good.
I got rum and Coke for after I try the whiskey. I don't usually drink whiskey, and I don't usually actually drink except for the Drunk Christmas Show. And in fact, I do sometimes drink only for ritual, usually.
Yes. Well, that's usually where our thing is. It's ritual or lots of deep business conversations.
We don't even drink you know what we drink for deep business conversations is actually, let's admit it, let's own it. It's freaking bubble tea because we're in East Chinatown.
It is. One day, man. One day, I believe. We just roll on up, go to the bubble tea shop that we own, and be like, hook us up. You know we're normal.
Yeah. So this is actually, we both have Canadian maple whiskey. And mine looks really expensive. Whoa.
Yeah.
Because we're Canadian. That's why we have Canadian. There we go.
Now we gotta pull some East Coast stuff.
Holy shit, this is good. It's like drinking straight maple syrup. God damn. Like, I can't even taste the whiskey. I can tell it's there, but it's just like pure maple syrup. Like,
it's smooth.
Wow.
Now, if there's any alcoholic distributors out there who would like to support our show,
wow. I'm so impressed. This is like, I gotta actually mix some water with it because it's so sweet. Like, I expect it to be like whiskey.
That's why I mixed the
like
juice with it,
I expected a kick in the face from the whiskey. Not so
I think
much.
that'd be more like maple bourbon. That's probably.
Oh, we got EA today watching. That's great. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff today. Like we're gonna haul on out. But before we do, I'd like to share some love from our haters.
Do you have? I wish we had the intro song to it too.
Wait, can't we share this? Well, we can do this real fast. I can do like. Screen. Hold on a second. Okay, drum roll. Haters. Or how about?
Yep.
Right, that'll work, right?
All right.
Okay. So I just felt like we're going to start the drunk show off right. Like, here are some of our best haters for this year. All right. Nice. Real nice. And that happens to be the same guy. After I banned him, he went and got a different YouTube video. So let's go. Oh, how about this one?
Now, if you're listening to the audio, we got a share screen going on the video here. So you need to chop on.
Oh, yeah. I'll read out some of these choice ones too. How about this? How many gerbils have died in your rectums? Nice. Oh, I haven't heard that since I was 5 years old. Fantastic, haters.
Fantastic.
Beardsy has sucked 500 miles of cock. Well, you know what? If I was a gay man, if I did the math of inches and sucking, that means, that means our guest last week was the best porn star ever. And,
that is, like, you got a career. You got a career there.
You're gay ready. Cock wad with the beard just got his booster. I don't even know where to start with this one. But Tarot Destroyer and Paula Berlin's with the same person. Thank you for making our year. You are the best hater we have.
You are the best hater. You're committed. Thank you.
I mean, usually you only pick on women on the internet, but I guess we qualified that last week for some reason.
I know, we made it, man.
We made it with the haters. Wow. I mean, first of all, I mean, we're drinking, but in all seriousness, doesn't it feel like this hater is a little bit like projecting? Like, I mean, personally, I'm not gay, but I love gay people. You know, I love non-gay people. I don't really care what you're into. I don't care what three ways you're into, Martians, whatever, furries, it doesn't matter to me. But, you know, when you, like, that's your first insult, isn't it a little like maybe you might be gay when you're projecting like that much, I think? Maybe. I mean, it's a pre-Christmas show, like, you know, and the same people will call themselves Christian, but and this is what they do? Like, really? Come on.
Whoa, that I'm like, at least give credit to South Park on this when you're talking about gerbils. That was a great episode.
I know, right?
Hilarious series.
Let's see what else we got from the same hater. Oh, yeah, this is what set off the gay comments, actually. Because I actually responded to this on the show live.
That was a good response.
And I said, well, you know what? Zach here, Chinese medical degree. Equivalency, if he was in China, he'd be a medical Chinese doctor.
Yeah.
The other guy we had on the show is a NASA scientist with a PhD. And I have 2 master's degrees. And I basically said, I guarantee we make more money than you do. All 3 of us make more money than you do, Tarot Destroyer. So we just thought we would point that out. And we have a goddamn store. What do we need to steal a fucking tarot deck from Walmart? Gee, why don't we just steal it from ourselves?
Right,
I mean,
we have how many shelves? We got 2 shelves full of tarot decks.
Hundreds of tarot decks. We could take our choice of what we'd like to steal from ourselves. From ourselves. Oh my God. Haters gonna hate. Actually, we've seen this tarot destroyer before, but usually he comes out with shows where we have women and picks on them.
Correct.
But I guess we just earned it today.
Special episode.
I guess. I don't even know why. Like, we were talking about dream magic, but he took the take. Well, I mean, we get hate mail all the time, but not this ridiculous of hate mail. So I'm like, kind of like, well, that's freaking great. Like, how did that show, like on Dream Magic, actually get to the point that we're called gay haters? Like, we're like, all this stuff, this gay hate, that I'm like, I don't even see how this connects with the show topic. It's not like we did a show on gay magic. It was like dream. And we would do a show on gay magic, by the way.
We would, absolutely.
You know, OTO, secret degree, 10th degree, right? Yeah. But whatever. But we didn't even we're just talking about dream magic and how, like, yeah, you could basically, if you sort of meditate consistently and put that in your head before dreams, you can kind of control your dreams. Pretty rational thought from my point of view. So I don't even know how that guy came about and earned the hater. We earned that kind of hate. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But that's okay, because we can make fun of him now. And you can make fun of him too as you're watching. And you should. You should make fun of him. Like, I know, like, it's easy to get upset about that kind of stuff, but that one was so over the top. We really should just make fun of him. And we should make, and I made fun of him before, actually, because we had Benabel on the show, who we totally are.
We'll have her back on.
Big, yeah, we're big fans of her and what she's doing with the tarot, and she basically called him out too with the money thing. She's like, basically like, you know, I make more on stock trades from my tarot studies than I don't need to sell these books. I'm literally like a professional. I use my tarot for stock trades. It works out pretty well. I'm like, tell me more, please. Actually, no, tell us more. Please tell us some more about that. And we listened. That Tarot Destroyer apparently was like ripping on her, and then she kind of went off on him too. Like, you know, I definitely make more money than you do with my stock trades based on my tarot ability. So that's nice, bro. Mommy's basement. Go back. But as we usually rant, that's not the only thing we've had hate over this year. I think this particular year, I've been getting more of the hate. It is the year of hate. The end of COVID is the year of hate.
I know people are just getting out of their systems like 2 years. Fuck it, it's been distilled in our body the whole time. Go
It
at
kind
it
of,
now.
I mean, all joking aside, it
Well,
kind of
yeah,
is like that. Like
it is.
we're in this new world of constant, endless sort of hate. It's easy to do hate. You know, I should say for the record, right? We originally had an anti-social media business.
We did. We did.
We were completely 100% said, fuck the online everything. Mostly fuck online theoretic occultists or whatever. We're going to make sure we have an in-person store where we focus on the people who actually come to the store. And the reason for that is it's easy to hide behind the screen and type whatever hurtful things you want, and everyone thinks it has no effect. But people get hurt by this, and they don't produce material. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
They don't produce books. They don't produce things that are otherwise pretty good.
Absolutely.
Because you need to develop a full thick skin of 3 feet of concrete before you can write a freaking book, you know, or you need to have 3 feet of concrete of skin before you can actually make a scientific discovery. Man, fuck that attitude. That is retarded. It's holding us back, and it's just counterproductive. But speaking of that, this year I think we got hosed on another thing, and I'm gonna say it straight out, man, because this. Let me get some more of this fine Canadian whiskey. But you know what? This year, I think I got hammered the most on people who would put reputation over principles.
Yep.
And if there's any people in the next year that I'm going to go curse hardcore without reservation, it's people who have no principles and put their reputation first. And by reputation, I mean it's false. It's not real. It doesn't hold up to the spirit world. It doesn't hold up to anything, and it doesn't reflect honor. It's just bullshit. That's what people are doing more and more, and that's what COVID has brought us. Like TikTok reputation versus actually getting and talking with people, hearing their pain. No, and I don't mean this like about like this isn't a rant against social justice warriors. Actually, I'm pretty much, I would say, as close as you can get to Star Trek. In everyone should have everything pretty much provided for them.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Like, and then people will aspirationally kind of sort themselves, and the vast majority of people will do something interesting with the time they have. I truly believe that. And all this back and forth, so like the gay hate we got, other stuff like that. I don't get it, because why? Who cares? It's none of my business.
Yeah, it's like you do you, right?
You do, yeah. You do what you're gonna do. I don't care. I don't even care if you film it. I just won't watch it if you film it, because I don't care. It's not my thing. You should have your own thing. That's what makes us beautiful individuals. Like, so the whole gay marriage thing, I think, what is the fucking point, right? Why?
If it makes you happy, great. If it doesn't, don't do it. It's pretty simple.
This year we had a lot of kind of hate directed at me based on that reputation thing versus honor. And let's say this: fuck my reputation. I have honor, not reputation. Reputation. I have honor and ethics. Maybe not Christian ethics, but you know where I stand.
Well, even from a Christian notion of things, I mean, what was happening is not Christian-like. It literally is like
nothing about what has happened. Nothing that has happened the last couple years has been Christian-like. I mean, like my teacher, my cousin, was a Christian. And people are like, what? You learned from Christian magic? Yeah. My second cousin was more like an uncle, because I kind of think more of my cousin. My teacher was a cousin, but really her age was an aunt, more like an aunt vibe than a cousin vibe, right? Because she was older than me. And her father, which I said a grand cousin, was basically a Jesuit priest and a voodoo priest. And I'm like, you know, and everyone's Ukrainian. So like there's a lot of mixed confusion or whatever goodness going on. But yeah, she was a total Christian. Hated money, took the vow of poverty, everything. And her magic was badass, but it was hard because she would always turn the other cheek. People would insult her. She would turn the other cheek. She wouldn't do anything about it. That's hard. Like, They wouldn't go on Twitter and go slam somebody. That's the opposite of Christianity. Like, as per the New Testament, it is the opposite of what you're supposed to do as a Christian. Christianity in its purest form, when you actually read the New Testament, sounds like another chapter of Buddhism almost, where you have to be so unattached to the outcomes that you're not only willing to express, detachment from the pain and suffering, that you're willing to spread healing and love to all the people, even those who need it the most. How many of the actions of most of our public figures or anything reflect that? So, I mean, for Christians who happen to come on our show, and watch this, like, if you're feeling like maybe we're hitting a point here because of this, what Christianity is in the news media, and generally speaking, it's not Christianity. It's something else entirely. I mean, the Gnostics would call this Christianity literally the demiurge, or literally that Christianity is the lie. It's literally, if you read the Bible right, it's the false prophet of Satan. And we work with Satan, and he's not a false prophet. He's okay.
No,
but it's
cool.
literally
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's okay, right? Like, it's pretty cool. Challenges you to do better. That's okay. I mean, but literally, like, this ingratiated institutional hate is the opposite of Christianity, both magically speaking and theologically speaking. So yes, there is Christian magic, and yeah, there's a lot of it, but I could tell you, like, having learned some of it, the actual things, it comes from this agape place of love, and it's really hard to maintain.
Yeah.
It's too hard for me to just turn the other cheek when people are fucking with me. I'm much closer to I wouldn't quite say it's a Norse world ethical constraint, but it's closer. But not that I identify that much with, Norse people. Hey, can I go on a Norse rant?
You can absolutely go on a Norse rant. I mean, it is a drunken annual. So
yeah, that the Norse actually slept with Indians, black people, Asians, all across the world. Like, they didn't really care. They would take those people as their wives. So let me talk about how your Nazism is based on shit that never existed historically. So there you go. Nice.
They got around on the long boats.
Yeah, not only did they get along on those, like, long boats, they would sleep with anybody.
And that's literally how you get the sagas. That's how you get the sagas right there.
Totally, yeah. I mean, so it's like this kind of white race thing in Norse paganism. Man, you should look at your own and start purging that shit, because your history doesn't back it up. None of the history backs it up across the board. I mean, modern history, I guess, post-World War II backs it up, but not maybe slavery history in the United States backs it up. But you know what? 16th century Vikings, not back that up. And pre-16th century, or way pre-Columbus, who doesn't back up any of that history.
No.
And once you got accepted into the Toth, you were accepted into the Toth. You weren't some slave. You were a member of, I don't want to say tribe, but you were a member. Once you earned it, you're in. Like, I don't know. I'm so not cool with that either. And it's like, kind of like, for years, I kind of avoided runes, because it's like, really? Like, my great-grandmother is pretty much black.
Yeah.
Like, why is everything you do all about this white purity thing? Like, come on. That history doesn't exist. So I don't know,
Yeah, I mean, this really does hit home with the Christmas tradition. It's like, okay, everyone keeps talking about community, but people don't even help themselves. They don't build up anybody. It is.
No, I mean, this is the thing. Like, yeah, what the fuck does community mean? I've been saying this for years, and I get shit on in the pagan community because I say this, and I say this is the simple metric of community that everyone should be gunning for. The number of people that show up when someone's in the hospital is the strength of your community. Everyone says that's bullshit. Oh, is it? Is it? Is it bullshit to say that you should care enough if you're part of a community to show up when someone's in the hospital? Or how about this one? The amount of cans of food you give to somebody in your community when they lost their job, that's your community.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all lies. It's all feel-good nonsense that leads nowhere to our self-destruction, which is exactly where we've been going as a culture, right? This is really about like community really is about who are you willing to serve, and are you willing to serve each other, not in a classic serve bow down before God sort of way, but really it is about, like, do you give a shit enough about the people in your community to help them if shit goes awry?
Yeah.
And the answer inevitably is like, well, that's what the government's for. Is it? Or that's what the charity's for? Is it? We're talking about personal relationships. Like, you're saying your community has no personal relationships, but it's a community? And this goes back to my statement about ethics and principle over reputation. Like, reputation means nothing if it's not principled. It's another lie of the great age of Kali that people are pulling when the simplest of things are complex and the most complex things are impossible. This should be like rule number one. There has to be principles before reputation. If it's all just reputation, it's just illusion and it's lies and it's complete garbage. And that's what we'll keep going through. And that's what we're going to fight against at Queen City Curio. And we are. One person at a time. We're fighting against it. We're fighting against that attitude. We're fighting against that whole mentality, which, mind you, is largely a Protestant white attitude. Let's face the facts and own it. That is not what Eastern Europeans believe. It's not what Chinese people believe. It's not what anyone else sort of in the world believes, generally speaking. It's certainly not what Ukrainians believe right now.
Nope. It is a byproduct of that Protestant or Western European.
Or worse, commercialism to the point that everyone is an expendable widget that can be thrown away at any time. If you believe that, you need to do self-work to come to some realizations that you are nothing but a sheeple. Mm-hmm. People are not just merely expendable cogs in an endless wheel of whatever. If you try to believe that, even from an enlightened self-interest point of view, the most satanic materialist view of things, you will get screwed. It's not karma. It's not some mystical thing, but people will eventually screw you over. Right?
Yeah.
Now it's been a little bit more like, oh yeah, people can do whatever they want, but that's only now. But I even think some magicians are wising up to this. I think even more magicians like myself and others are starting to throw down about this. Not at the general greater zeitgeist of society, but lots of people that I talk to are not taking it anymore with just casual community using the community to beat people over the head. Versus actually like real dialogue and standing up for people who are actually potentially, and by standing up, I don't mean going on social media. You know what? If we had money, there was a homeless guy who was behind our store, we were ready to hire him. If we had a little bit more money, we were going to be like, dude, can you make candles? We'll teach you how to make candles. We were going to give him a job. That's standing, because he was polite and it was cool and he was very nice to us. And we're like, and one time he did get possessed by a mortal. That's a different story.
That's a whole different story.
But we were like, well, this guy seems like he's pretty okay. Give him a shot to get back on his feet. That's fucking community. That's fucking doing the good work. That's what a Christian would do. Mm-hmm. Not that I'm Christian, but that's still what a Christian would do. Well, yeah, I mean, EA on here said it's easy to say you're doing things for community when you're boosting your own ego. And that's what it's about. Because consistently, I have seen 100% of the time, and everyone could disagree with me and say, you are full of shit, Andrieh. But every time I've seen any people who are only concerned with community, actually, I've seen it where people are concerned with community, but not building magical ability, always is about ego. Every single time. Right? So from a cult standpoint, anyone who's about just building community or reputation and not about the magical hardships that happen with magic are full of shit, and it's just about ego, and that's 100% of the time. Now, if you think that me and Zach are not about actually magic, you haven't been at our center. You could totally rip us a new one. You know, you could totally rip us a new one, that one. But really, there's rituals going on all the time. People doing shit, getting off their ass.
Well, every Friday, that's the deal, right?
That's what it seems like lately.
that's
People
what we're
just,
going
and it's not always me or Zach running. People just come, and we encourage it. You know why? Because real magic creates real community. Real magic creates the pain necessary for an actual community to develop. Because these shared bonds, not just of ritual work, but actually of confronting your own issues and moving ahead, actually is a reason to create community. But you know what? When everything's there, everything's on a platter, everything's nice, everything's easy. You talk about community. You know what? Generally speaking, your average people who pull themselves out of homelessness, they're going to know more about community than you do. And they're going to be generally not assholes about it. Why? Because they've been there with nothing. And that's the problem. Too many people have too much entitlement about this community. Like, you know, and building attention without substance.
Well,
I'm going to drink now.
mean, the people showing up, I mean, they're being vulnerable. The space is being held, and we're doing aftercare with people they need it. And that is community. When you're actually showing your flaws and saying, this fucking sucks, this hurts, and people are there for you, no matter if they're breaking down or what is happening. So that in itself, that's community, and knowing that, you know, people are there to get you when you're on hard times. It's easy when it's like, this is now going back to the Drake stuff we talked about. It's easy when shit's good and everyone wants to be your friend because shit's good. But what about the times when it hurts? What about those times when you're down?
Those people disappear. Like, so many people disappear when you're actually in pain and shit hurts, right? And that's Christian people, right? That's literally what happens, and that's okay. Yeah, that's the easy path. That's the easiest thing, man. That's, you know, just disappear because somebody is a little bit in pain and they're hurtful. And you know what? That's easy. It truly is. There's a word for that, but no one wants to admit it. It's called sociopathic behavior, right? But no one wants to admit that's that, right? No one wants to admit that as occultists and magicians, we should reward sociopathic behavior with sociopathic magic and curse work. We should. Like, I don't know, everyone wants to put a nice reputation face on it, like they couldn't possibly do that. But the truth of the matter is that something changed. Nothing really changed with COVID. The expression changed into this world view that people were already having, that they'll take whatever they want and they don't care and there's no consequence. And it kind of got reinforced in COVID. And now we're coming out of this like, that's your worldview? You think there's no consequence to anything? You think nobody's a bigger fish in the pond? Maybe that's true. I wouldn't try to tempt other magicians by being an asshole all the time. But you know what? Maybe that'll work for you. I think, generally speaking, people will eventually meet somebody who will wreck their lives. Now, they'll never associate that with the person that they pissed off, because good luck, my ability. Bad luck, nobody else has any ability but me. Really? Circumstances. Really? You think that's true? You think that people are not getting more angry across the board, and they're not going to, people who have ability aren't going to start taking shots? They are, because we're moving into more uncertain times. And like, like, I agree with what Rebecca's saying. If you're not making 200,000 plus a year, you're probably 2 or 3 paychecks away from homelessness.
Yeah.
1 job loss. So the fuck, by the way, you want to know what we're doing? The people who are in our so-called membership programs, we're cleaning out the storeroom to store food. You know why we're cleaning out the store with food? If anyone loses their damn job, we'll have food to give them some food. We might not have enough resources yet to help the people who are associated with our store pay for rent, but maybe someday that'll come. but we have enough to give them food. You know
Yep, we do.
why? Because that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And TA's comments that, like, yeah, if he had a job, would probably be okay. You know, because then he could get some sort of stable, right? And you know, should we have enough? Mark my word, we'll hire the guy. Like,
Absolutely.
yes, so we're admitting vulnerability here. So go attack us on your social media and tell us, see, they don't even make enough to hire a homeless guy. And I'll just say you're an asshole. It takes a lot to hire somebody. But as soon as we do have the resources, we would, you know.
Well, right. And this goes back to before you came on. I was hinting at this whole greater community standard of people taking this moral bullshit high horse. And it's like, really?
But the moral bullshit boils down to one thing. How many people do you support that go to the hospital? If the answer is 0, you have no moral standing.
Correct.
And that's not me saying that. This is just an interpretation of, I don't know, Christianity, Vedic Hinduism, Buddhism,
most Eastern,
some sects of Taoism, Jainism. What else can we insert here?
I mean, shit, even paganism in its different forms.
Certainly in the Norse paganism, this is probably pretty consistent of how you should support people in a Celt. Yeah. I mean, it's a simple metric. I mean, the other one is how many cans of food do you give the people who can't afford food in your community? I mean, that's a similar metric. Nobody wants to own up to that metric because it's hard. Because that means doing the hard work of building communities isn't the attention you receive, but the actual authentic connections that you make, and the authentic connections where maybe you have to sacrifice to actually help a person who's a little bit like worse off than you right now.
Yep.
Sorry, you can't have everything, or can't have everything all yours all the time and say you're part of a community.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I want to talk to Rebecca's point about, make a meaningful effort rather than being a worthless piece of shit but hiding behind a anonymity keyboard. So I want to go back to that because it goes back to reputation versus actual ethics. So, I think because there's some people on here, some people I'm friends with, everyone knows I wrote an article for Become a Living God, and I got nothing but hate mail for it. And yet, how many people out of our store that come to our store actually has read stuff?
Right. There's a lot.
There's a lot. This from our community, actual community that we're dealing with. There's a lot of people who've actually read the material, right? And actually, like, our work, they want to learn more. Like, so from my point of view, like, I got a huge amount of flack from people who value reputation over principle. And I really feel like that isn't what's going on. Like, I mean, not only that, I can stand by my own work and I can look at things and say, yeah, a lot of people come in here just asking questions are referring to this material, the actual people, not some theoretical bullshit internet people, which I'll never see in my life.
Correct. We've had people walk in the store and literally ask us directly about the materials, and we would say, yeah, we have a sponsor library. And
right, here, go check it out. Go check it out. And then we'll say, we're honest. This is where we agree with this author. This is where we don't agree with the author, right? This is where we think it could be tweaked. And then they come back. And the thing is about that is, again, it comes down to virtue signaling as opposed to virtue. And in the age of darkness, I keep referring to Kali Yuga as the age of darkness. That's what we're in. We're actually technically in the adolescent phase of the age of darkness.
Yeah.
If that sounds bad, you should think. Well, if that sounds bad, you should say it is bad, right? That's where the ignorance is at the highest level, because, if you know anything about teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Right about that, like, it's pretty bad. But essentially, what the Age of Darkness actually says, and that's what we're all going to confront, is that simple things like energy cleansings or honest priests or doing blessings, you cannot easily get. That everyone will put more or less the illusions and lies ahead of any truth, regardless of what the truth is. And we've not seen any. We can kind of look at social media and kind of all the people behind the keyboard tearing everyone down as the height of the Age of Darkness.
Yeah.
And if you think it's not ignorance that fuels that, it is. It is ignorance. It is ignorance in the classic sense of the Hindu ignorance, which is more closer to oblivion. Like where that leads is oblivion. Nothing gets created because creators won't create, because they are attacked by the very people who should be supporting that creation for no reasons other than social standing. I cannot think of a more clear-cut, practical interpretation of the Age of Darkness or a more clear-cut description of where we're at as a society.
Yeah. And I mean, this is where social media is a thing. That's not going away anytime soon. So now.
But it's how we approach it is the issue. We approach it in a way that's completely supporting of that ignorance, that darkness, that tearing people apart. Social media could be used if we're more conscious of our angels and own inner demons to actually raise people up. Actually, be like, fuck yeah, that's some cool shit you're doing. That's not what goes on. Right? In fact, there's study after study that you showed me, Zach, about people posting shit that if you want a real answer to something, post a wrong solution and you'll get the right answer because somebody will point out how wrong you are.
Mm-hmm.
You showed me those studies. I mean,
pretty fucked. I mean, it's like it could be anything. It could be a high discourse level theoretical question. You post the wrong answer, someone's going to prove you right or prove you wrong, I should say. So,
right. Even if you post it, you totally don't know the answer at all, and you're just posting anything really. Somebody will prove you wrong with the right answer because they just want to be right, as opposed to, answer the question or anything. In fact, the response rate for those type of things of outrage answer is more than triple by the studies I read of actually asking the question. And if you think that doesn't lead to a society where we're ready to like basically shoot each other, I got news for you, because that's what's coming. Maybe not in Canada because people are nicer up here, but let's face the facts. If that's all you have is outrage, even on these kind of things, what are you going to get?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it's even qualitative to the point that you can look at those core answers. That used to be people ask questions and get just an answer. Now they're turning more opinion based. You can see that trend right through the last few years. They did that study.
Exactly. It sucks because we're like talking about this like, but when you really think about the magic behind this and the Age of Darkness and kind of pull together this kind of Hindu spirituality and kind of how these communities mean nothing, right? Like, and I would tell many students who would turn on me. So if you're my student and right now and you're going to turn on me on this, you'll get what you get. I don't think that'll happen, but they turn on me because I basically say your pursuit of reputation over principled magical and improvement and magical development over your self-development will only lead to the abyss. Like, as in, not in a good way. Not like, hey, we're gonna summon demons and it's all cool. Like, kind of that's cool. Cool. Hey, that's a good Friday night. But oh, look, we got more spam from secfind.info. Nice.
We just got it.
Nice. Best adult dating site, sexfun.info. Totally make sure they don't get anywhere with that and kind of go turn
I think
them
the
off.
comments are going auto delete on that with YouTube.
Oh my God, look at this. Let's just show this on the stream. Here we go. That's what we get from our Christmas special. Nice. Real nice.
Merry
Okay.
Christmas. Happy
Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh man. Oh my God. Oh, let's just get rid of that, shall we? Yes, they even put a male symbol in one. So this is like sort of vaguely like somebody signed up our stuff on like whatever. Just go turn off those what do you call? I hope those comments don't show up because that's
No,
just
they'll get
really.
delete. Those will get deleted automatically by YouTube. I think there's.
All right, great. Because it's like, yeah, well, it's a Christmas show where stuff happens, I guess.
Depends on the type of Christmas you want, right?
I have a wife. I don't need that. You have a girlfriend. We don't need that. We can just go to our bedrooms, right?
True that.
I guess the idea of like us talking about, weird Christianity and this darkness and this kind of darkness that has infected everyone, like, I guess the system has to respond, right? Like, it's sort of like, what better way to. Yeah, we're saying stuff that breaks the matrix just a little bit. Enough that, maybe if people thought about Christmas in relation to the Christian principles, something's got to react there because it's like a weird Christmas show, like, but something's got to react from the system, just kind of belittle and make fun of it. I mean, honestly, Christianity if you really read the Bible, it's a hard path that most people don't follow.
It's really hard.
It is really hard. There's a lot of like real hardcore stuff, magically speaking, that you could pull out of what the religion is saying, but it comes from this place like a lot of classical ceremonial magic, where if you really read what they're saying, no ceremonial magic should ever be an asshole to anyone based on what is actually being said. I mean, just because if you're in a greater position of agape and you're in love with all humanity, I don't even know how you would. I don't even know how you'd express the kind of hate, the gay hate, or anything. Like, how does this happen?
It's like it would not even happen for coming from that place.
Right. This is a hard path to love all your neighbors as yourself, like, and to use the higher order connections of Venus to actually work magic for the betterment of mankind, or do things in the world for the betterment of mankind. God damn, that's hard. And that's not what Christians do, by the way. Like, most people are fake Christians. They're not real Christians. Having a teacher who was a real Christian and watching her basically die poor because of her oaths of poverty, and her dad had oaths of poverty, and her dad would take in any spirit and try to rehabilitate it. Any person, try to rehabilitate them. Like, give them a chance. Spirits, people, they didn't make a difference. That sounds like a priest of Damballa, kind of, in a way. Yeah. But, they would try to rehabilitate it, get it to be useful, get it to be balanced. That's hardcore shit. That's almost what Christianity is asking you to do. Not just turn the other cheeks. Like, yeah, when they hit you, you basically express love towards them and literally go and try to better them. Like, wish blessings upon people who hate you, because clearly they need the blessings. Otherwise, they wouldn't hate you. That's hard.
Well, that's fucking hard, and that gets into like Indian stuff too, which I could go around with a bhakti path. Everyone's like, oh, well, it's just like lust, love, and community, like not caring. But that is essentially bhakti in a nutshell, and that's really fucking hard.
It is really hard, way harder than anyone thinks. So it's not like me saying we have no respect for Christianity. That's not what I'm saying at this Annual Christmas Show. Besides the fact all your symbols are pagan.
What?
Yeah, I just said it. I just dropped it in there. Christmas tree, Slavic paganism. Lights on the tree, Slavic paganism. Santa, Norse. Basically, Odin in a different form. That was well timed. Well timed.
I was waiting on that.
You were waiting for that, so there you go.
No, yeah. We can even dive into like the whole thing with like Odin and Christmas and the horses and everything, right? Which is the French Santa, which is very different from French Santa, which was built on straight up commercialism. They even said it in the history.
There's a lot of tie-ins between Saint Nicholas, who was Ukrainian, basically, and basically thought to be Saint Nicholas versus Santa. And both Saint Nicholas has this weird component that he's a nicer version of Saint Cyprian, who's having his moment in the sun. All those Krampus myths that you see come from Saint Nicholas being able to control demons. Yeah, we were taught a slightly different Santa. Like control demons to punish the wicked, bring gifts to the good.
Handy skills.
Yeah, I think so. But again, that goes back to like it's not at all sort of easy to just dismiss it. Like, Christianity. We had 5 people, we went to 4. If you're watching, give us a shout out on YouTube. If as long as you're not a sexfind.info place that we're going to just delete anyway, give us a shout out if you're still here. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left. I've been drinking before I have to go and cook etouffee. Yeah, I'm going to go get shrimp etouffee. Except now, this whiskey is so sweet, I don't even notice it. I've been drinking it. I've been drinking a lot.
It is deceptively sweet.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's how much I drank from the top of the bottle. So, but it is really sweet. Like, oh yeah, like,
we're
I can't even taste the alcohol. Like, I can't even taste the alcohol in this drink. Like, it's just like,
it is.
I mean, it's like Canada. All I taste is the maple syrup. I mean, it's like Canada.
Well, I was joking around earlier before you hopped on it. It's like, yeah, some of my American friends were like, dude, that's totally Canada there. I'm like, yes, it is.
Well, what do they expect? We're in Canada. Oh, Dennis. Welcome, Dennis. Dennis says, shouts out to Dennis is the creator of our theme song, The Illuminist, Flying to the Moon. That's his name. Great musician. I hope to have him come on, bring some actual new music that he's been working on. Dennis is awesome. So he gave us that song, like no holds barred. So cool. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks. We really appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I can't see exactly who's watching to shout out to you, but if I could, I would shout out to each person.
We can see the eyes, but we can't see anything past that.
Yeah, we can see the spam messages, but that's about it. Let's see. Well, we're still working
now. It's like growing.
Oh yeah, maybe we should keep going for a little while. I don't know.
Keep going for a bit.
Well, I mean, here's the thing too. Like some of the things that we're doing in the store, kind of we go back to this community idea, right? You know what? Real freaking rituals. I mean, not. First of all, let me say before I say what I'm going to say, because I've been drinking. Wiccan rituals could be badass. Could be. The fact that most public rituals aren't, and the last Wiccan ritual we were part of, we were told not to actually apply energy to it, is bullshit.
We still did, and fucked up shit happened.
Yeah, man, it got cloudy as soon as I called the Sky Father, and there was no rain predicted.
Yeah.
I guess I should have tried so hard to actually do magic. I mean, because how ignorant is that?
Yeah.
You're literally standing and calling the gods, but don't apply too much pressure or don't apply too much energy because the noobs, it's a public ritual, and the noobs who are there to experience anything at all, they shouldn't be exposed to that. That's the definition of ignorance. I can't think of a more ignorant in a spiritual sense thing to say about anything. Hide the gods from the noobs so they never experience anything.
Well, I would even go further than that. I would even say that's a privilege and status insult to everyone there. It's like, well,
it's more than that. It is a status insult to everyone there because they can't handle it. We've been doing hardcore public rituals for 10 years now. Let me assure you, most people can handle it with a little freaking aftercare. And then they get their whole world opened up. So you proprietors of ignorance, fuck you. I mean, you are literally the Kali Yuga in action from spiritual teachers who should be ashamed of yourself. Ashamed that you would not. Your very gods are not worth introducing to noobs. The hell with that. What the hell is that? That is completely unconscionable. Like, I don't even care if you think that it's all just in your freaking head. You should still be shooting for some sort of transformation. Even a public Wiccan ritual should be about people experiencing something, not the apathy of nothing that permeates all the sickness of our society. Literally, I think people like that should not only be ashamed, they should be ashamed, but there's no shame left.
Absolutely should.
Should be absolutely ashamed at the statement to hold back from calling the very spirits they revere. What kind of revere or adoration is that? What kind of worship is that? That's like, I don't even, how is that worship when you're not calling them with the fullness of your essence of your being? There's no worship there. Like, all these people doing that claim to be worshiping, and but there's no worship. Like, the starting point for worship is authentically bringing them down.
See, and this is
okay. That was a rant.
No, that was a rant, but I will continue on with that because this is where it's like,
go ahead,
it's
bro.
insult to even call that a theater, right? They'd be like, well, it has to be theatrical. It's not even fucking theater. At that point, it's empty motions of, I don't even know.
It's not theater. It's not theater, because theater is well practiced and choreographed.
Right, and they actually...
And theater in itself has a motherfucking impact on the observer if it's not shit theater. You can bet your average actor is better magician than those rituals because they actually get so far into it, the audience cries or is happy or there's an emotive effect. You think that cannot be used for magic? Do people really believe that they're not all in? They are at the moment. That's not just theater. That is an insult to the Dionysian legacy of theater. It is an insult to all actors everywhere who, when they go on the stage, for a moment, you somehow believe it's not an actor, it's a character. And you cry with them because they're so believable. You think nothing is going on there?
Yeah. I mean, that's where I'd be on that whole fucking rant right there, where I'd be like, all right, you're insulting fucking actors, theater, magic, your gods. Who else are you insulting? Oh, wait, this is, I can't even say it's like, oh, it's cosplay. Fucking cosplayers get into this shit hardcore. So
well, cosplayers are pretty fucking serious, bro.
They are fucking serious about this. So at that point,
it's serious about their art, right? Yeah.
Right.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, man, don't fuck with the cosplayers. Cosplayer shit, man. Don't fuck with, man. They're pretty serious about their shit.
Right, but the premise of what we're discussing here is, oh, this is to build a community. Fuck that noise. That is not building up a community. That's not even doing anything for a community other than spreading the ignorance.
I think so. And we'll probably get some hate for that, but I think, and by the way, I've read and done many Wiccan rituals. Many. It's not my preferred paradigm. It's useful. It's like sort of simplified Golden Dawn magic. All right. It works. It does the job, so it's not at the paradigm. But really, this idea that noobs can't handle it because energy will somehow destroy them. You know what's destroying all those noobs? This ignorance. That. They're in a life that there's many constraints on their lives, and the spirits, all the spirits in general, should be the answer to the nihilism of the modern world, right? It should really be, not necessarily in an escapist way. I think at the store we kind of we struggle to teach how not to be escapist about this.
Yes, but we do a good balance. We do a very good
but there
balance.
shouldn't be a time that anyone does a public ritual in any capacity that you're not authentic about calling down and communing with the very spirits you claim to worship. If you are doing that, you are just a force of ignorance, and all that's waiting to happen is the light to destroy you. And it may not be now, it may not be later, but sooner or later the tide will turn on that. And that's even more the modern sort of, it's been this way for years, but yeah, you know what? We're in the verge of World War III. That shit is passe now. It doesn't really make sense. If you're going to call the spirits, call them. Mean it. get them there. If the noobs need aftercare, give it to them. Show them how to ground on the spot, even though it's a public ritual. Make a goddamn difference or goddess difference in their lives right there on the spot, or don't show up at all. That's what I have to say about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, again, it's not a popular opinion. Everyone will probably send me hate mail at andriehvitimus@gmail.com, and you know what I'll say? Just fuck you, I'm right.
Yep.
I shouldn't be better at calling your gods than you are.
Yeah.
Or goddesses.
Absolutely no. It's like,
because I don't work with them.
If that's your bread and butter, that's an insult to even the spirits you would work with.
It is insulting, but no one realizes why it's insulting. It's insulting to the new people coming out. They don't know what skills they have. They're just a public ritual. It's insulting to the spirits because you're not making anything authentic happen. There's a way to call down spirits with full velocity of your magical ability, your priest or priestess ability, and not hurt anyone. We've done it for 10 years. It can be done. It works very well. And then maybe sometimes people have an issue where they cry and you have to sit with them and ground them. Okay.
That's part of the problem.
You do that. Right. And I've had a life transformative experience, and you kind of sit there and you just help them, maybe give them a cup of coffee, whatever, get them back down, and then they go back to their normal partying weekend or whatever it is. And that's just how it is. But yet, at least at that point, you're being aspirational. At least when they're summoning your own goddess and gods and spirits and demons, whatever they're doing, they actually like have something to shoot for. They know this is what is possible. That is going against the current of ignorance and reputation building versus actual magic and actual ethos with the spirits themselves that you claim are real. Can't have it both ways, people. You can't. They're either not real and you're just putting on a show for your ego, or you should have consequences. You won't, because of the way the spirits bridge with the human world is complicated. We could talk about that in a whole show, but you should.
Absolutely.
And if people want to know why there's no consequences for the people, why don't the gods strike them down? I mean, like, we kind of taught this many times. Your people are the bridge to the spirit world. They don't have consequences because no one showed those spirits exactly what's happening and bridge the gap between the spirit world, which sort of sees energies and vibes in the world, and actually like what is a sort of offense. I'm convinced that every single ritual is like, this is the minority religion. Like paganism's a minority religion. It's becoming more popular, but it's not Christianity, right? What is there to offer versus Christianity? Like every time you do a summoning, something should be there. You're not talking about the dominant religion that has a Catholic church or Christian church on every corner. When you do a ritual, something should show up. Well, that is the advocacy for your faith. That is literally the justification that here it is. Here's an accessible god or goddess. These are here, immediate, imminent. It's not some far off thing that you hide from the noobs like Christianity does.
Well, and it's putting the teeth back into the magic. It's like even witchcraft. It's like, where's the teeth in this? Are you going through the motions? Or like when you actually talk about the history, shit got done.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to talk about the history of classic traditional witchcraft? No one wants us to talk about that. Just like, they don't want to talk about, I don't know, how that relates to Satan or demonology or all this stuff, or classical herb work, or just all the stuff that generally goes on, and it's all sort of consumer washed.
Yep.
For your feeling better but not results.
Well, for your escapism.
And not results, yeah. Feeling better, escapism. And once you know the mechanisms of the system to get you escape, as far as instead of confront the reality, to confront that with your spiritual allies, ignorance becomes Pretty easy. It's really easy, like we're saying, to hide behind a keyboard, tear people down, so they never feel comfortable enough to build anything. It's really easy to tear down people um, all the time. It's really easy to go out there and do a what you call theatrical, but it's an insult to theatrics ritual that has no emotive power. That's really easy, right? You get a lot of ego boost from it. You get a lot of ego boost from tearing people down. You get a lot of ego boost in social standing from doing rituals like that. You take on none of the spiritual risk. You're not tired for a couple days. You not have to deal with an authentic connection that came through in that ritual. Like the people summoning that ritual, you might have to deal with that authentic fallout, as in you might have to do things differently, even as a priest or priestess, if you authentically connect. But isn't that the point? Isn't that what we're doing all this for? Like, to actually make something happen? Like, not just make something happen, but take different roads, maybe? Like, anything? Like, why would you willingly support nothing? Oblivion, spiritual ignorance. It's like, I don't understand. It's not the easier path, it's the number path. And not dumber, it's just numb.
No.
Right. Like, if you have any sort of light inside, shouldn't you want to connect authentically to the spirits in some way? Shouldn't you gauge everything you do in the public to be against that spectrum? I think so. I mean, otherwise, again, you're just a servant of ignorance, which is really oblivion. A lot of servants of ignorance, Zach. A lot of servants of ignorance nowadays.
Well, right. And that's what we're against, and that's what Queen City is against, where we're saying, fuck this. We're there to support you. We're there to build you up. And we will actually show you at least magic in whatever form you need. We're non-denominational on that. Doesn't matter if it's a Buddhist ritual, Taoist ritual.
Okay, we'll do it.
Angel, fuck it.
We'll do it. Matter. I've done them all.
You've done them all. We've done them all, right? So,
well, actually, it's 7:13. We're drinking, and let's open the floor. So people ask us questions on the stream. We'll answer now, because otherwise we'll probably go and I'll cook, and if I drink much more, I'm gonna fucking not be able to cook. I know that. I'm this Canadian whiskey is nothing to sneeze at. For this maple whiskey shit is nothing to fucking laugh home about. Like, it's sweet, so it's totally like,
you drink it and it goes in.
No, this is
building.
This is like the drink. I could see a lot of women, or if you hate alcohol but you like sweet drinks that have a lot of alcohol content, let me suggest maple whiskey from Canada. It's your choice. But in that said, all seriousness, let's open the floor to questions for 5 minutes or so, maybe longer, if someone asks an interesting ranty question. We've got six people watching right now, so thank you. Give us the clue for us to what you'd like to hear a rant about or anything. I think we're having much more philosophical rant than some years, but it was pretty that's pretty good. You can see where I stand if you want to send hate or magical hate mail, like spells. But I'm not too concerned with the people I ripped on the most, which was the Wiccan performative as opposed to spiritual things. Like, you'd have to actually connect to the spirit to actually hit me. Try it sometime. They'll tell you no, and I'm right. The first time you actually have them show up. Whoa. Again, if you're looking for a sweet drink in the States and you're not from Canada, let me suggest maple Canadian whiskey. Holy shit.
About the maple bourbon. That's the next curiosity.
It's probably similar. Probably similar. I was going to mix this with some Coke if it was rough. Whiskey can be a little rough, but it's not.
Whiskey can be a bit rough. Absolutely.
Seriously, there's 5-6 people watching right now. Come on.
Bring it.
say something, right? Otherwise, we'll kind of go the way and say we have.
Dennis is like, it is a smooth drink.
Oh, Dennis, let's show Dennis's. Yep, Dennis. It is indeed smooth, Dennis. It is indeed smooth. It is very smooth. Well, if we have no questions, which, what do we have coming up? Can you even see the screen anymore?
I can, and I mean, I did do a big intro on that earlier. However, what we do got coming up is we got a tarot series that Andrieh is still going through. So the next one's going to be the Major Arcana. Then we got Enchantment and Divinations after that every 2 weeks. And then we also have the Change Your Luck Attunements with the Luck Buddha on the 6 different types of luck that he can offer and represent.
Yeah. We're going to do a Baphomet ritual for all the store sponsors. And I mean, there was some pushback about a little bit of pushback on that, but I kind of want to say, like, we've got a $10 sponsorship per month. There's rituals going on every other day almost.
$10 is 3 coffees, people.
But these rituals take right for a sponsorship. But I mean, really, these rituals take resources. Even if you're online, like, we have to pay for the incense, we have to pay for the flowers. Those are a lot of times like rituals cost like $100, $200 to do if you're doing it with all the flowers and everything and not just sitting still. So I really don't understand why some of the people are kind of so negative about that. That said, I think we're gonna either time the massive chaos that everyone asked for somewhere around January 7th, but we have to work on it to see. Do we have the Buddha rituals on that day?
Let me check. I think the Buddhas are on a Saturday, 1:30.
So we still probably will do that on the 7th. So we'll do a Massive Chaos Baphomet maybe on the 7th. It's a little bit early, so maybe I'll move the date a little bit to get a little bit more time. On the 28th, we have the Taoist Fox Magic, which we're still hoping to get a few more people. Maybe we'll do the Massive Chaos on that Friday. You know why we do that on that Friday, January 27th?
Why did you let him know, sir?
Because that's my birthday, and it would be a fun fucking time.
It would be a fun fucking time.
So maybe we'll do it on the 27th. I don't know. We'll talk to everyone, including my wife, to see what they think about Massive Chaos on my birthday. But you have to be a sponsor, at least at the lead level, which is only $10 a month. We have hundreds of classes you get for that. You don't get the classes at the $10 level, I should say, but you get hundreds of rituals in person or online that we will let you if you're a sponsor at the lead level. And the reason me and Zach decided to do that is that every time we've done a public ritual the last few times, it's always the people who have given nothing back to the center that cause problems. So, like, all the people who just show up for the food, as it were, and they don't really won't even buy a water or won't even sort of help with the incense or help set up or nothing. They just come there and vampirize shit. They always cause the problems. So we decided to avoid that, to get people who are more serious. Like, it has to be everyone who's a sponsor. You could be a sponsor for 1 month and just go to that ritual and cancel it. But I think even after one ritual, we'll prove that we're worth having a supporter. Yeah, worth. I mean, I'd say even after a month, we would prove we're worth actually being sponsored and building this. Because what our goal is in the new year and what we're trying to do is actually build a real community of really, and I hate to say it this way, but it's really anti-racist. You know, we don't give a fuck about your sexual orientation. Actual practicing magicians and witches to do shit. Like, we don't give a shit about any of that. We're pretty open about that. You know, as much of allies as we're possibly we are. We don't care if you're black. We don't care if you're Mexican, white. We don't care if you're Asian. We don't care if you're a tiny Asian girl who wants to summon demons all the time. We don't care. That's how we roll. We don't care. We're interested in magic and all its sorts. We want to build a community of those people that are interested in doing magic, improving their life, seeing how far they could push the envelope. And that's what we're going to try to build this next year coming up. That's really what we're going to build. That's what we're going to change all the marketing. If you couldn't have guessed that from the results over image attempt at our marketing, it'll become more clear.
There's your clue by 4, if it wasn't obvious.
There's your clue by 4. And then that's why we're putting the massive chaos behind sort of a paywall a little bit. Because inevitably when we get people show up online and people show up in person who haven't given anything, for a ritual that's going to cost us probably, our Baphomet rituals, depending on how we do it, it could cost a couple $100 because we bring out whole flames, we make herbal stuff. Yeah, like it's not like a trivial like bullshit. Like we actually spend money on supplies on these rituals to make them sort of pretty and effective. And really, we've seen the people, who just get invited and there's no real sacrifice. They don't give a fuck. They essentially work against the ritual. We don't want that anymore.
No,
we want to actually, like we're not trying to be a force of we're not trying to be a force of ignorance, right? Allowing people to kind of not give any of their energy to rituals we do is ignorant. It actually makes us have to work against them because they're not actually trying to be part of the ritual. They're only interested in the theatrical show, not actually being part of the ritual. And that's the issue. That's the fundamental issue. So, I mean, if anyone takes away anything from this, like, be engaged. Don't just be part of the show, the performative aspects of stuff. Like, you want to be part, you want us to do Masochist's Baphomet on a regular basis? Fuck it, we're game. But you know what? Engage. Help us actually put those rituals on. Clean the fucking space so we can do it, or donate money so we have resources. It's the same with the voodoo rituals. Tell a friend. Like, it's the same with the voodoo rituals. Yeah, I'm an initiated voodoo priest. Those rituals take a couple $100 usually. You want to have big voodoo rituals? You want to come out to that in Toronto? You gotta support it.
So this
we'll do big voodoo rituals.
Getting shit done. We're not.
We will do big voodoo rituals. Like I would do a fed every month if I had the people. Like different spirits, right? Like, I mean, right now there's a couple that are I should do a fed for, and I'm probably gonna just do it either way. But you gotta come out. You gotta support it. So yeah, I mean that said, like. The lowest sponsorship's $10 a month. If you pay the $40 a month sponsorship, hey, I'm drunk, but you get like hundreds of workshops, which they ain't bullshit. Even the angel workshops today that we did, those rituals are no fucking joke. Even when we watched it again, I'm like, whoa. Like you can watch it. I watched it back and I got buzzed. We had other people watch it, they got buzzed. Like, this is some pretty
rituals. I mean, you've done an Egyptian ritual and shit that was hardcore.
Yeah, we need to do some more raw work. That would be cool. Yeah. I want to do some more raw work.
Yeah.
Or maybe another set ritual, and this time I'll be set.
There you go.
I like Set. He's a good guy.
He's a very good guy. And this is where people have been bugging me about Buddhist stuff. I'm like, I'm down to throw down Buddhist magic with Andrieh. Same time, it takes time to, like, those pujas and homas, I'll tell you right off the bat, $150 is what it costs for the flowers, the food, everything, if it's done properly on a minimum scale.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to hear that, but that's the truth. That's what real, actually goes back to the theme. That's what real community engagement means. You want this shit? It means you don't expect somebody to do it for you, get the benefits from it, and then be like, oh, thanks. I got all these benefits. Nice ritual, bro. What? Come on. That goes exactly to the whole theme of kind of what we were touching on again.
Well, yeah. It's like, I'd love to do a bunch of medicine. Fuck, I'm a healer. That's kind of up my alley. Same time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that said, too, in the new year, we're going to have a lot more classes about, I don't know if it's going to be just directly chaos magic classes.
Well, there's a lot we've been discussing, right? So
it's kind of hard for me where I'm at to think that there is such a thing as chaos magic or traditional chaos magic. I mean, when Wiccans are producing books on sigil magic and not referring back to chaos magic, I think it's all it's all dead in the water as far as like everything goes at that point, right? Like
Yeah, just a bit.
and in the summer, you'll hear it here first. Starting July 1st. We will be summoning all 72 spirits of the Goetia in a full-on course for every single 10 sponsor and above. And not only that, not only will we summon all 72 spirits one at a time every 2 weeks, we have Stephanie Reiser on board to help us.
Yes, we
who
do.
wrote several books on demonology. She's not really going to help too much, but she is helping. Believe me. Like I'm going to do the rituals, and Zach's going to do the rituals, but she's helping.
She is helping.
Right. And I'm going to put this on the screen. So it's my wife, and it's awesome. This is actually our long-term goal. We want to have a cult ritual barge and pontoon barge in Toronto, so we could just go out and do rituals on Lake Ontario.
I still like to see the Papa Twilights too.
I know.
So.
After actually, you know what? The truth is, after after I saw it, I actually watched a whole video where people made a pontoon boat in about an hour and a half, and I'm like, holy shit, I could do this. I watched the video again, and they didn't put an actual motor on it. They just kind of drifted down a river for days and days and days, like Huck Finn. But I was like, we
can do this.
I could make what they made. This isn't that hard to make what they made with the pontoon boat. And then just put them. They just went to Home Depot with a truck and got all the materials. It was mostly 2x4s and empty barrels, and then they kind of used straps to tie it all together, but it was really stable, like lockdown straps. I'm thinking, I'm going to do this. I don't think it would pass the Toronto Party Barge Occult Investigation Division that would basically investigate us for boat safety. But I'm pretty sure from that video, it's possible.
Well, again,
it's possible.
You get the pontoon boat cam for rituals.
You know what? I can't think of anything that would be more fun than doing a goetic summoning in the lake on Lake Ontario while having barbecue like off to the side. You have to have it off the railing a little bit in case it catches fire, right? So you could just dump it in the water. But having barbecue with everyone and summoning a goetic spirit on Lake Ontario, right, with like 5 or 6 people who are kind of cool and all in on this. Does it get any better than that as a cultist? You got to have some actual real world goals. I think that's a worthwhile world goal. What do you think, everyone watching? Do you think, before we go, is that a worthwhile goal for the cult party barge and / ritual pontoon boat that we're talking about? I think it's a pretty worthwhile goal. You can imagine it. Just being on Lake Ontario is pretty calm, unlike Lake Erie. So you could actually go out there and actually do this. And with some double-sided tape, we could totally make that work.
There you go.
There you go. Well, both of Rebecca and Dennis listening, I think this is awesome.
Everyone's like, do it.
Arbonali's thumbs up. So yeah, that was we seriously were going to do this. We just have to find a place that we can use to build the boat.
And get that recorded so we can fast track it too.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, is there anything better than being on Lake Ontario, like motoring over to the island to pick up some food from the island, and then just like Toronto Island? And
I can see it now with a demon flag too on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, bro.
It's pretty good.
I'm thinking this is a good aspiration to end the show.
Good aspirational goal.
You know what? We've said it a couple years. We've said it for a couple years from now, And the upcoming year, you know what? You don't like the way things are? Do the fucking magic. Change it. Be something. You know what? For people watching the show and thinking, hey, maybe we're on to something about this stuff. Challenge the elders in your community to actually do something. Don't leave it on us to say it and leave it at that. Again, that's how the ignorance spreads. Just challenge them to actually do rituals that are meaningful. Don't say we told you to challenge them. Do it for yourself and make a difference. That's how things start changing. Go to festivals, challenge the people who are doing rituals just for performative aspects. Challenge them to have a psychic impact. Challenge them that they need to. That's a demand in the current age. And eventually, when enough people are challenging that status quo collectively, maybe then we can have a actual community of occultists and pagans that support each other. This is the Drunken Show on Deeper Down the Rabbit Hole, and we will see you next week. Will we see them next week? Isn't that New Year's Eve?
That is New Year's Eve. We were discussing that. So maybe we'll see you next week. We got a show on January 7th.
We'll probably see you on New Year's Eve. We'll do something. Probably something funny. It won't be the Drunken Rat. We'll just throw down since it's 6 o'clock. We'll figure it out. It'll be worth your time to show up live. I know what we're going to do. I got it. I'm not going to say it on air. But I got it. We're going to do a ritual. I got the ritual too. You want to find out what that is? You got to show up.
You show up next week, everyone. You show up next week.